Hello and welcome back to our little midstream break segment where I answer some questions from folks who watched previous streams. This first one is from Bionicme, who says, with a lot of talk about status damage and weightings last week, I wanted to bring up a neat discovery of mine, but alas there was no time, so I'll reserve a front seat for it here instead. Elemental damage buffs from Warframe abilities can potentially drown out the innate status weightings of a weapon build. And nowhere is this more obvious than on Hydroid, with his Plunder easily racking up several 100% corrosive bonus before modding, effectively banning him from accessing status damage. You'll have so much corrosive damage as a proportion of your weapon's total status damage, damage type damage, that you won't get any statuses other than corrosive most of the time. The solution? Forced status procs. I'll hopefully be present next week to lay out multiple examples, but the chief among them will be the recently released Recon effects and its semi-unique heat ammo mechanic. Let's discuss. Ooh, more forced status procs. Cool. Yes, I initially thought that you were going to get into, the ones we have. We have a few. Zada's Whisper will give you Void that is separate from the rest of the weapon's damage. The Saren's Toxic Lash will give you Toxin separate from the rest of the weapon's damage. There are a few augments that do it. The Ogress has Netwatch Napalm, which gives you Heat Field, so that will give you heat status effects that doesn't affect the weapon's damage spread. Sure. But I don't think there's much to say other than, if we're going to talk about it today anyway, other than to say, yeah, it's interesting. It allows you to get the advantages of an elemental buffing ability, but still getting a variety of status effects, which is usually good. They're mostly good now that a lot of them have been buffed. And there's increasingly many effects in Warframe that benefit your damage or something. You get some utility if you get a wide variety of them. Another thing that comes to mind is kind of subset of that is there are a number of arcanes nowadays that say something to the effect of, you get to get cold status effects, but you stack up a benefit. So this would maybe allow you, if you could force cold, for example, you could still trigger that effect, while using your elemental buffing thing. Sure, cool. I feel like this runs the risk of being a pretty niche tech. You'd have to go pretty far down that rabbit hole to find a place where you really need to know this, but I'm into that, but I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not trying to talk trash about that idea. I will say that as a person who makes videos about games for a living, I do smell this would make a good video, but as entertainment. It's not actually that useful to most people, is my humble opinion, but if anything, that makes me even more interested. Like the Rainbow Gris build that we've made on the stream comes to mind. I don't think a lot of people will like that or care about that, but I think a lot of people were entertained by the idea and maybe are interested in applying it elsewhere, while some people who really want it, sure, those people can then find it. So I'm into it. I don't have much else to say, but cool. Yep, neat. And the next one is from Lightbuck, who says, have you considered making the Q&A segments into YouTube Shorts? That's a good question. Make these YouTube Shorts? I have, yes. I think that it's a reasonable idea. There's a couple of reasons why I haven't done that so far. And then I've got I actually kind of have a part for you. Okay, so the biggest reason is that it isn't very similar to anything on the Zanypants or Bootleg Builds channels. In other words, if I were to put these on the Zanypants channel, they are a good amount of the time about game design, I guess, but it's a very different type of offering than what is on the Zanypants channel. I am, at the time of this recording, working on a bunch of basically just like smaller game design focused, build system focused videos. So I guess that would be more similar to this, but when I say shorter, I mean, I'm imagining they're going to be like 5 to 7 minutes instead of like 15 to 20 minutes, which is what a lot of that channel's videos are like. Definitely not. Well, these are 5 to 7 minutes. I was going to say definitely not like 1 minute, but I think in some cases you can go over 1 or 2 minutes in a YouTube short now. So maybe. Part number 2, a lot of the audience that wants like thoughtful, slowly paced discussion doesn't watch shorts, either avoids them because they don't want to get sucked into doom scrolling, or has gotten over that but just rightly understands that there isn't that much that's good quality in shorts. There's some amazing series of YouTube shorts, but also like 99% of it is not amazing YouTube shorts. So it would be kind of burying it in the part of YouTube that is not as good. Now, I could just make them short videos on YouTube, but not YouTube Shorts. Maybe. I'll just say part 2. The Bootleg Builds channel is definitely very far away from. That's just the build channel. But Pantaloon Saloon, these are basically just Parley, ARRchive Parley as I call it, but short. They're basically just short Parley. So I have many times thought about making these little segments into like videos that go on the Pantaloon Saloon channel. There'd be something small there. The biggest thing, the biggest reason I'm not doing that, and the kind of final part to my answer, is I have these as separate recordings. I have saved some of them already with the idea that you could put them up somewhere. Like if I change my mind in the future, I can put some up. And a lot of them come out, of course. Like there would be an absolutely ludicrous amount of them coming out. The Pantaloon Saloon channel, though, the content there is basically the same as this. But there's 2 things that make me not think it would be that great of an idea to put them there. The first one is the channel doesn't have that much to gain by putting these on there. They are the short version of what the channel's content is very directly, but they're so much shorter. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not a gateway necessarily. Maybe I'm wrong about that one for sure. It might be worth as a try. But then part 2 is that most of the Pantaloon Saloon channel's audience is you folks. Most of the people who watch that channel have already seen the streams. Like a good portion of that channel's audience is exactly and only the people who watch like everything, including the streams. So I'm worried that it would only get frequently shown to people who like have already seen it. So you know what? Here's the thing. Talking about this, I have reasons why I haven't put it on some parts of my YouTube channels, but I feel like I've somewhat changed my mind from answering this question. If you all say you would be interested to see these on Pantaloon Saloon, I kinda don't see why not, actually. The main reason would be not to spam you. So if you think it's a good idea, then yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let me know. Thank you for the question. That's great. I always love questions like that. If you have anything you want to submit to our Q&A break segments in the middle of the stream, the mini version of Parley here that I call Twitch ARRchive Parley, the shoot-off of my full-length Parley series on the Pantaloon Saloon YouTube channel, then you can do that using a link in the description. If you submit something there, I'll answer it this time next week. For now, on with the show.